Okay, this may be a controversial take, but I think I've found my favorite cannibal romance road trip movie of the year.
You don't think I'm a bad person.
All I think is that I love you.
Bones and All sees Luca Guadagnino returning to the horror genre after his Suspiria remake, and I was excited for this, but a little trepidatious as I wasn't the biggest fan of that remake, for reasons that I won't get into because otherwise my friends will get mad at me again. But, I loved his film Call Me By Your Name. I was excited to see him reunite with Chalamet. I haven't rewatched Call Me By Your Name since we learned that Army Hammer was a giant piece of shit. So I'm a little afraid to, but I still think that is a wonderful film. But Bones and All, funnily enough, also about cannibals in some way. Again, yep, we've got Timothee Chalamet, but the lead here is Taylor Russell as a young girl named Maren. She's abandoned by her father after he realizes that she's sort of unable to control her cannibalistic urges. So she has to try and make it on her own, journeying across middle America, trying to carve out some sort of a life for herself. And along the way, she meets Lee, played by Timothée Chalamet, who is a slightly more experienced in living this sort of life. So he sort of takes her under their wing and they go together, and she starts out trying to uncover some secrets about her past. And yeah, the way this film sort of builds a world in which there are people out there who just are cannibals. And I know there are people who are cannibals in real life too, but in this, it is people who, it's like literally a condition, it's an urge that it's like they're zombies. They have to eat people. And there aren't a lot of them out there, but there are some out there, and they sort of know how to communicate with each other and find each other. So yeah, it creates a really interesting world and a really interesting tone, which is something I really, really love about this movie. It's such a fascinating fusion of genres, being it's this really love-filled, passionate, heartfelt, tragic romance, but it is also this really gruesome, dark, ominous horror film. And I think it was just perfect the way it blended this. I guess something I could compare this to is it has a lot of Stephen King vibes, and I know that maybe doesn't make a lot of sense, but just the sort of American Midwest setting, the creepy characters that pop in and out, the way people speak, people sort of over explain things or talk in a strange way, and they have like phrases that exist that might not really exist in real life, but they have all these phrases that sort of describe their situation and everything. And yeah, creates a unique world that feels like kind of like our world, but also not quite. And I really, really loved that. Also contributing to this tone is Mark Rylance, who he's not in it a ton. He's only in maybe 3 or 4 scenes, but he plays this character named Sully, who's sort of this. He tries to befriend Maren, and he is so scary in this movie. Oh my god. Even when he's being friendly, he is so creepy. The way he talks, he kind of talks like Herbert the Pervert from Family Guy. Um, he is amazing in this film. It's some of his best work, and I'd like to see him be in the supporting actor conversation a little bit for it, because he is just I was just loving it every time he was on screen. And that goes for everyone else in this film. Taylor Russell in the lead. Ever since I saw her in Waves a few years ago, which I thought she was just the best part of that film, I think she is a phenomenal young actress, and she proves that again here in Bones and All, giving probably the best performance in the film, because it really is her film. She's the lead character, everything's from her perspective, and she carries it beautifully. And Timothy Chalamet, who I love, hating Chalamet is so 2020. Sorry if you hate Chalamet, you're lame. He's cool and a great actor, and he's great in this too. He's very conflicted. He obviously has a lot of baggage that unfurls as the film goes along, and I really, really loved his performance. And there are some other people who steal scenes throughout. I'll shout out my man Michael Stuhlbarg, who I'm a big fan of. He pops in for one scene, and he is deliciously creepy. Yeah, I guess that's just the main thing I have to say about this film. I love the tone that it struck from moment one. I just could tell it was going to be something special, and I found it moving. I found it entertaining. I found it genuinely shocking in its violence. Like, if you're squeamish, do not go see this movie, because it's not super frequently violent, but when it is violent, it is so intense and visceral. And I loved it. I was laughing and gasping the whole time along with everyone else in the theater, and I cannot wait to see this one again. It's one where I'm really excited to check out the book that it's based on too, because I love the prose and the style and the whole vibe of this thing, and you can really tell it's based on a book. It does feel literary, but it also feels very cinematic. It's gorgeously shot, very sunset tinged, beautiful film grain. I assume it was shot on film. It looks like it was, unless it's a really good filter. I'm not sure. But yeah, I just love the look. The musical score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. It's very acoustic. It's very mournful. There are also a lot of great soundtrack choices. I just found this such an immersive film that I did not want to leave. I was actually kind of sad when it was over. Bones and all, I'm going to give a 9.5 out of 10. I had high hopes for it, but even then, it really exceeded my expectations. And I think there's no other film like it this year. And it's so strong in every single genre that it dips its toes into. I think it's one of the best films of the year. It's probably in my top five right now. So I highly encourage you to check it out when it comes out at the end of this month. I think around the last week of November, sort of. Because if you're into the macabre, if you've got a strong stomach, if you're into tragic romances, this is the film for you. And I think it's really not everyone's gonna love it, but I think it is going to find a really, really passionate fan base if the way I reacted to it is anything to go by. So that is it for my review of Bones and All. Thank you very much for watching. As always, stay tuned for more. I saw a lot of films in October at the Adelaide Film Festival. I'm not going to have the chance to review them all, but I'll sort of try to dole some out as these films get released. Follow me on Letterboxd and Instagram. Those are sort of where I'm the most active, where you can find what I'm doing. That stuff's all in the description. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.